Do you tend to get bodied at the beginning of new campaigns in Menace, especially when you're on higher difficulties? Well, your choice of squad leaders is probably going to have a major impact on that, and today, of the 8 characters that you're able to choose, we're going to talk about who's the best and who is the worst and why. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman, and welcome back to the channel. Hello everyone, if you enjoy what I do, including guides on popular turn-based tactics games such as the newly released into early access Menace, then a like on this video and a subscription to the channel would be very much appreciated. Thank you so much. As you can see, we are webcam mode today because we're going to just be talking about characters and stats. There's not going to be as much flashy background footage, so if you do want to just listen to this one as background noise as well, totally understandable. We're going to break this into 2 parts. First of all, we're going to talk about the 5 infantry squad leaders that you have available at the beginning of a campaign, and then the 3 tank commanders after that. We're going to go through what each of these characters does, who's the best at their role, who's the smart picks, and perhaps maybe only someone you really want if you're trying to do a challenge run, and my thoughts on why these are all good or bad. I've put quite a bit of time into Menace at this point in the early access version of the game, and I think I've got a pretty good handle on all of these characters as a result. Of course, full disclaimer, no character is completely unusable, right? Not that type of game. You will be able to make use of any of these characters if you know what you're doing, have good tactics, good skill, maybe a little bit of luck. But there are definitely some that are going to set you up for more or less success from the outset. We're going to go right through in order here, like I said, starting with our infantry squad leaders, and we're probably starting off with the best one here. It is, of course, Jane Darby. Anyone who knows Menace knows that Jane Darby is an absolute menace, and the big reason for this is she's actually kind of your recon, stealth, priority target master, right? More than any other character that you can start the game with, Darby is going to be the one who can take her squad deep into enemy territory, most likely not get spotted, and then absolutely annihilate either assassination targets or just dangerous enemy squads that have powerful special weaponry, or at the very least be able to disable those special weapons with her own personal skill, high-value targets. Darby's attacks disable enemy special weapons for 1 turn. Now, this is not the only thing she has going for her. She has a lot of other stealth abilities that you're going to be able to start speccing into pretty quickly, including Covert Ops, which just gives you an extra 2 concealment, and having the ability to get closer to the enemy to get better shots, be able to sneak around enemy formations, or be able to pop out of cover, take a shot, revealing yourself, and then pop back further away from the enemy or into cover and get that concealment bonus again. It's going to mean that there's just less shots going into Darby's squad. It's less likely that you're going to be losing squaddies. It's much more likely that you're going to be able to keep firing at full power without needing to get yourself unsuppressed or fall back or anything of the like. Now, there is a huge thing to keep note of with Darby here, and that is that she is a 3-star character, and that means that she's going to be, A, very powerful, but also be very expensive. We can see here she has a base supply cost of 40, and then this is further increased by other factors like promotion tax and equipment costs, as it says here. She does have a 15-point promotion tax, so as you go through a campaign, especially if you're kitting her out with good gear, Jane is going to get very pricey. But with what she brings to the table, and the fact that in the early game, it's not like you have fancy equipment anyway, so that cost isn't really too high, she's just a good unit to have around. She's got 110 action points, so she's able to do a lot of motion, shooting, and the like. She's got good accuracy, good discipline, no damage reduction or anything, but again, she doesn't really need it. You don't want her to be getting shot at anyway. She's just an all-around all-star unit, and I can't really imagine running a campaign without her. I have not yet done so. She's just, she's so good. She's so good. Definitely, I would say the most powerful starting character in the game. Next up, we have Lim, and Lim nowhere near Darby's level, and I actually was initially much more down on him, but my most recent campaign I've been getting a lot of good use out of him. His personal starting skill is Aspiring. He has a plus 30% discount to promotions, and that actually means you're going to be able to start scaling him very quickly, which is great, especially in the early game when you're very limited on what resources you have available, and even a single promotion to just get more HP or be able to have less AP for an attack if you've moved. Like, those can be massive difference makers, especially in the early game. So Lim actually does scale very well, and he's no slouch in any particular way. He's got the average amount of action points at 100, he's got okay accuracy, okay discipline, a little bit of damage reduction, and really what he's best at is being an assault unit. We have a lot of things here that make him want to get into the fray and really get stuck in. Again, run and gun, giving you AP reduction for moving before shooting. Phenomenal. Once you get him all the way maxed out, which I have him maxed out in my current campaign with Berserk, regain 38 AP after killing an enemy unit. Wow, I wonder how that would synergize with run and gun, making your stuff cheaper, making it so you get refunded, can keep moving, keep shooting. It's a good time. You also have stubborn, so even if you're suppressed, you're not losing AP. You've got mobile infantry, so you can get in and out of transports more easily. You've got all sorts of good stuff for just an all-around frontline unit. If you like SMGs, shotguns, have some decent armor, Lim will definitely perform well. You just need to get him to that point. He needs a little bit of an opportunity to grow, so he's probably not suited for every campaign, but if you can make him work, he is extremely nice. Pike is one that I've been very back and forth on. He's another 2-star, much like Lim, but Pike is less of a combatant and more of a support character. If you're familiar with Fire Emblem, he's kind of like a dancer in that regard, due to his personal skill taking command. You can give 40 AP to a friendly unit within 6 tiles. If the targeted unit has already completed a turn, they can go again. If not, they will start with plus 40 AP to their base AP amount. This does cost 60 AP to use, so basically you're giving up Pike's turn to give another character more AP. But I mean, that could be really good. Like, synergize that with Lim, so he's got even more motion running around. Make it so that Darby can get behind enemy lines faster. Potentially give your tank commanders the ability to get a little bit more maneuverability out of their treaded or walking vehicles. There's just a lot of good stuff that Pike brings to the table. The issue is you're so limited on resources early in the game. Really locking in and saying, no, I'm going to use a character that's main role is giving up its turn to give other units extra AP, and losing 20 AP in the grand scheme of like your entire party, each time you do that, it is a net negative. So you really need to be able to leverage that extra AP to actually be able to basically get a return on your investment, essentially. Now, Pike does have other things going for him. He can inspire, give extra accuracy and discipline to adjacent allies. That's okay. Adjacent, it's a little bit hard to swallow in a game where you've got as much terrain and as much movement going on in any given mission as you do, but it's something. It's something. You can rally if a squad gets suppressed or their morale gets broken, then you can fix it. Pike is the battlefield commander, right? However, because of that, I personally think he's better as a recruit later into a campaign, so you can get your baseline going. But he's not a terrible choice. He's definitely middle of the pack, in my opinion. If we were doing this tier list style, I'd say he's probably like C as a starting commander, but has a lot of potential for bigger teams as you get further into a campaign. Skipping over Bog and Rewa for now, we'll come back to them when we get to the tank commanders. And now, there's always one character in any sort of video like this that gets me in trouble with people. And I know people love Carta. Marta Carta of the Martian Expeditionary Force. I know you guys love her, but she's god-awful, man. So we've had either extremely strong characters or middle-of-the-road characters that we've been talking about thus far in terms of their star level. Now we have our first bottom-of-the-barrel character. Carta is obviously a new recruit. Her personal skill is actually a net nerf at first, out of the craters, starts missions with minus 15% accuracy and discipline, but gains stacking bonuses of 5% to both stats to a maximum of 8 rounds. So over the course of a mission, she will get better and better. That's nice. That's not terrible, you know, especially your first 3 or so turns. You're looking at like very little action most of the time, so this accuracy and discipline isn't going to be that big of a deal. The problem is the AP. The problem is the AP, man. Carta's such a strange character, and I really am trying to make her work. She's very cheap. It is extremely easy to bring her on a mission. For lack of a better term, my Warhammer 40k homies, you'll know what I'm talking about. An action monkey, someone who just has a very minimal board presence, very minimum squad size, who's just there to run around, do objectives, rescue hostages, scout around a bit, things like that. She can be very good for that. And especially if you have a lot of high-cost characters like Darby or Achilles when we talk about him, having that flexibility is good. The issue is she's only got 85 action points. Her agility is awful. She does have good growth potential, so she can permanently increase some of her stats, but it takes a long time to get there if it even happens at all. And in the interim, you're dealing with the fact that if you want to try and shoot twice in a turn, you just can't move. Unless you get some other discount going on, she's going to be stationary or she's only going to be taking 1 shot a turn, and she can't move that far anyway. She can't move anywhere near as far as anyone else on the board. So it's like, why? Why would I do this to myself? Again, the accuracy and the discipline, they get better over time. She actually takes more damage. It's rough. Now, she does have a nice suite of skills, but most of them you have to unlock over time. So again, not really the best starting character. Like Pike, I would maybe say recruit Carta later into a campaign if you can. When you have more resources, more ways to keep her alive, like not just have her explode on the battlefield. And then she can do more good stuff for you. For example, she's got hit the deck, so double their defense and damage reduction when suppressed or pinned down. So she's going to be durable once she starts getting shot at, as long as she survives. You're going to have more like mobile infantry stuff, being able to get out of transports more quickly. She's actually able to distribute special weapon ammo to other allies. So you can, again, use her as kind of an action monkey for big special weapons and the like, which is good, but again, you don't have any of those, especially early in the game, so it's like, don't really want to start with that. She can have more accessory slots. She's able to get extra accuracy and view range when stationary. Like, I see what they're going for with Carta, but you really don't want to start a campaign with her. You really, really don't. I don't think she's very good. In fact, she's in contention with one other character for probably the worst starting squad leader in the game. We'll talk about that in a minute. Carta, very down on Carta. For the beginning. Let me reiterate that. Now, Tech. Tech is probably my second least favorite of starting SLs for infantry. He's definitely not bad, but I've kind of bumped Lim over him. And even Pike, even though I do think he's better to recruit later in a campaign, I still think I'd like to start with Pike over Tech at this point. Why? So Tech is your heavy weapons guy, right? He's got his personal skill that allows him to use most special weapons without being deployed. That's very nice. Saves you some AP, saves you some movement. It's good stuff. And then he's beefy. He's burly. He's kind of like Lim in that regard. He's an assault unit. Like, he's got 100 action points. He's decently accurate. He's decently disciplined. He's got a ton of damage reduction, a ton of HP. If you want someone who can go in there and take shots and not just fold, Tech is your guy. The main reason that I don't like to start with him is, again, it can take quite a while before you actually get special weapons online, or even like good armor for him to make using his full kit worth it. Like, all the damage reduction in the world doesn't really do anything for you if you're still just wearing basic fatigues or, like, at best, pirate scrap gear, right? It'll make him tankier, but not by that much, man. Like, you're still going to start losing squaddies, and squaddies are so valuable. So to use him to his max effectiveness, you're putting a very valuable resource at danger. And then you're potentially not even getting any benefits from his personal skill because you don't have the special weapons that either you want to use on him or that are worth using on him. Then, yes, he does have a good suite of skills as well. You know, things like point fire, getting extra accuracy when not deployed or pinned down. Cool, so you're just running and gunning. Again, that's nice. You can get tanky, you can get buff. You can have things like line breaker, so you can crash through enemy lines. Like, there's good stuff here. But the fact that he has an entire personal skill that just won't be active at all for God knows how long is like, maybe you want to use your black market trade potential for other stuff, like other weapons for one of your other characters instead of buying a heavy-duty light machine gun or something that's super expensive. Like, again, this is another mid-campaign character. I think I don't like him very much as a starting character, even though he can do a lot of really fun stuff. Like, I mean, long bomb, just +2 range to all grenades. That's nice, but you have to have grenades, and you have to have grenades that are worth it. And you have to be in a position where using grenades is worth it. And it takes a while to get to that point when you could just be shooting enemies and generally getting a better result. So, not the best. If you take him, it'll be fine. But I think there's other characters that have a much more immediate effect on the early game compared to Tech. And those are our 5 infantry squad leaders, but what about our vehicle squad leaders, our tank commanders, as I call them? And, well, we've got some things to discuss, I'll tell you that much. And we're starting off not very strong with Bog. Remember how I said the card is in contention for one of the worst starting squad leaders in the game? Well, Bog is the other one. Bog. Bog is a character where he's meant to be sort of the drunken master, right? Like, you never really know what he's going to do. It seems like it's all just ramshackle, cobbled together technique until suddenly, bam, something crazy happens and you get your money's worth, right? He's very cheap to deploy. He's got a very cheap supply cost, easily the cheapest of all the tank commanders. Unfortunately, much like with Carta, that comes with an associated reduction in action points, which for vehicles in particular is not good. Accuracy's okay, discipline's okay. He actually, much like Carta, takes more damage than other characters, which again, when you're in a big, beefy tank body, not something that you really want. And then, you know, he's got cheap promotion tax, does not have very good growth potential, which is another big issue. And his personal skill, jerry-rigged. Costs 20 action points to use. So first of all, it's not just a good passive, you have to actually be able to use it. What are the use conditions? Well, removes the vehicle's most severe defect. If there are 2 or more equal level defects, it will randomly fix one of them. So let's talk about what's wrong with this. First of all, you got to spend points to use it, when you already don't have a ton of action points to begin with. Second of all, the only time that you'll be able to use it is if you're in a bad situation. You don't want to be planning for a bad situation, right? Second, or third, I've lost track, if you're in an even worse situation, you can't even necessarily guarantee that you're going to fix the part of the bad situation that you want to be able to fix. You see where this is going here. I don't like skills and characters that require you to be losing. And when you have a skill like that on a tank commander, we're dealing with all these other potential issues where you can take damage, have systems be disabled, which is what these defects are. You're probably, especially in the early game, driving around a light transport where you're trying to get your infantry into combat. So now you've got less movement. You're potentially spending your turns repairing things that you could have just not taken as damage in the first place if you were using a better tank commander. You're just nerfing yourself for no reason. And yes, I hear you. Vehicles are very expensive. If you try to use even more than one tank commander until a good way of the way into the campaign, you're going to suck up all of your supply cap for any mission that you try to do that on. So being able to get a cost reduction for your vehicles is very nice, okay? I'm fully on board with that. But if that reduction in cost, if your Temu tank commander is just going to keep you from doing what you need to do with that vehicle, then all of its points have been wasted. And that's always the situation that I found myself in with Bog. Is it nice to have a cheap driver for a party bus to be able to get your guys into combat? Sure. But that's all he's going to do. He's going to spend half his time repairing the damn thing, which means you're probably not going to get them into combat in the first place. And again, you can do that for slightly more with another character like Rewa, who we're about to talk about, who can then also fight. Bog doesn't really fight. Over time, he will get better stuff. Again, you get a lot of, like, your kind of luck-based, oh, you attacks have a 25% chance to inflict 50% more damage. Woohoo, nice! You can overclock to, like, get more AP when you really need it, but then get stunned the following turn. Like, there's a lot of that kind of ramshackle, big power boost, luck type thing going on. But, man, especially for the start of the game, it ain't great. Ain't great. Bog is a big downer for me. Honestly, I think Carta does more than him. I think he is actually just the worst possible character to pick for the start of a campaign. So, Rip Bog, you're a cool old man, but no thank you, not today. Now, Rewa, this is a tank commander right here. Rewa's your middle-of-the-pack tank commander. As you can see, she's our 2-star. Achilles, we're going to talk about Achilles, is our 3-star. And she's actually very interesting because her big focus is kind of getting stuck in with a tank, or, well, potentially with a walker as well. And taking wounds, dealing wounds, running things over. She's very violent in that regard, as reflected by her personal skill, Revel in Slaughter. Plus 6% accuracy, I should say, and discipline for each enemy unit destroyed stacks up to 5 times. So if you're out here just annihilating dudes, she's just going to get better and better over the course of a mission. She's got 100 action points. Again, good accuracy, good discipline, no negatives to her defense, average promotion tax, growth potential, supply cost. She's just middle of the ground all around. But what's nice about that is she's not overly expensive. You're able to use her for transport. She's able to shoot stuff. And then as soon as you get one promotion with her, you can unlock roadkill. Run over attacks, do double damage, and hit more enemy elements. So you get close enough with that big light transport, and you can just body infantry squads. Multiple infantry squads next to each other, you can body all of them. And now not only are you saving yourself on ammo for your light machine gun that you start the game with, but you can potentially remove it entirely to make room for supply for other units, more squaddies, better gear, whatever. And then just as soon as she's done dropping people off out of the party bus, take the party bus to the enemy and turn the enemy into pancakes. And it is such an efficiency boost. If you just want the most value for points in the early game for a tank commander, I don't think you can really do better than Reiwa. I don't think she's better than Achilles, but she's definitely up there. Like, I would say this is a B or maybe even A tier pick for the beginning of the campaign, just because she saves you so many resources in an extremely resource tight environment. Love it. She's extremely good, and she scales really well. She can keep getting stronger skills, drive-by, getting AP reduction for standard attacks after moving. She's a great walker commander. She's able to deploy further forward if you really want to get her in there quick. She gets berserk, much like Lim. Like, Rhea was just a good one, man. She is just a good one. She's nearly at Achilles level for me, but we have to talk about why Achilles is so good now. Here we go. Achilles. This man, oh boy, he can be the shield or the spear, and he will be oh so happy to remind you. 110 action points, great accuracy, great discipline, 10% damage reduction, which is phenomenal. Again, he is pricey, high promotion tax. Growth potential isn't too insane, but you can fix that with the actual new tricks skill if you want to. Supply cost, again, high. You're looking at a lot of cost here, but personal skill. Spartan Duty. Increases AP for lost health. Plus 15 AP for 20% HP lost, 30 for 40%, and 50 for 60%. Now, I know, I can already hear the angry keyboard warriors, but Tom, you were talking about Bog and how you don't like having a skill that expects you to be losing, yada, yada, yada. And that's true. However, this is still just a passive. You just get this. You don't have to spend AP for it. You don't need to be like, oh, well, then now there needs to be a defect. And what defect is it going to be? Am I even going to be able to remove it? If you lost HP, you're getting AP. And in a tank, that is huge. It's just a nice passive bonus on a character who doesn't need a super strong passive that's active all the time to function, because he's just got such strong natural stats. So as a bonus for a big target, especially once you start getting into grenades and lasers and all sorts of things where you will be getting shot and taking some damage, this is a great way to be able to move your guys around more, or once you have heavy weaponry, fire a lot of it at everything. Combine that with the fact that, again, he can get more growth potential. He does have Lancer to get extra armor pen if he's in close range. You can get zigzags, so you're taking less damage the further you've moved, which, again, synergizes very well with Spartan Duty, because now if you've lost 40% of your HP, you've got 30 extra AP to move around with to get more defense, to keep you from taking even more damage. There's just some nice stuff going on here. I've always been so happy to have Achilles on my team. Like, legitimately, I've run 3 different campaigns thus far. 2 of them had Achilles as a starter, and he just carried me for the first 2 operations. Not missions, operations. The man just does work, and any vehicle upgrades that you can get for him as you go will make him even more disgusting. He is expensive. You probably don't want to take Achilles and Darby together as starters, because then you're going to be really hurting for points, but at least one of them I think is good. You can make both of them work. I've done it. It's a little finagly, but you can do it. And I mean, as far as tank commanders go, Achilles is just nuts. And if you get him a walker, that's good times. That's good times. I'd say Achilles is also an S tier starter for sure. And he's worth every point that you have to put into him to deploy him on the field. And that, my friends, is my view of the 8 starting squad leaders for Menace. You've got good options, you've got some not so good options, but what I like is that the actual star ranks for all of these characters are pretty reflective of just how good they actually are. So yeah, so long as you're able to pick out maybe 1 3-star, a couple of 2-stars, maybe a 1-star, maybe even 3 2-stars, depending on what you're doing, you can get away with it. I think definitely, though, the best are Darby, Lim, Achilles, and then, oh boy, maybe Reiwa, I would say. Because Pike, Bog, Carta, and Tech, I think, all have more finagle room if you get them into the middle of the campaign. Maybe Pike as well, just being able to give it some extra AP is always nice. But yeah, not too shabby. There's my thoughts on the best and the worst starting squad leaders in Menace. We'll see if more squad leaders are added over the early access period. Maybe we'll have to revisit this once the full release happens. If characters get tweaked, changed around, we'll revisit it as well. Let me know your thoughts. I'm sure there's a lot of opinions that people have on all of these characters, so do please let me know if you think I missed something, if I'm overvaluing something, or just share your experience with different characters that you've used so that other people can get good ideas in the comments as well. For now, if you want to see more Menace content, do let me know, but I'm going to wrap this one up here. My name has been Tom, otherwise known as Titanium Legman. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that you all have a good night. Stay safe and healthy out there, everybody. And remember, be good to each other, y'all. Bye now.